Hi there, I'm Josh, and today we're talking about the Sparkle Arc Intel A310. Now this is an eco card, which means that it is a 50-watt card, which means that it doesn't require any 6-pin connector or anything like that. It just plugs straight into the PCIe slot, and that's all you need. It has 4 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory, only one full-size connector, which is HDMI 2.0, and then 2 mini DisplayPort 1.4s. Now today I have it paired with the Intel Core i5-9500. And guess what, past me? That means that this is not PCIe 4.0. So, take that into consideration while watching this video. I figured this would be a good combination because the Intel Core i5-9500 is a little bit of an older CPU, and it was found in a low form factor? And it was found in a small form factor PC, which I decided would be perfect for the Intel Arc Eco. Now, I had high hopes for this graphics card. I actually wanted to see if it could beat the GT 1030 as the new budget king. But let's hop into the benchmarks and see if that's true. Up first was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 at 1080p with XeSS on performance and the balanced preset for graphical fidelity. We saw an average frame rate of 43 FPS, a 1% low of 23, and a 0.1% low of 16. So this is not a 60 FPS card for modern games. I think that should be obvious from the price tag of $100, but with that said, it was still playable, and I would consider that to be a sort of win for this graphics card, all things considered. Up next, a game everybody's talking about, Fallout 4 at 1080p with medium settings, ran with an average frame rate of 50, but this game, whether it was tied to the animations or what, was so weird to play. Every time I sprinted, it was like laggy. So I would recommend putting an FPS cap to 30 FPS on this thing because we saw a 1% low of 9 and a 0.1% low of 4. So this was definitely not a fantastic experience. Battlefront 2 Remastered at 1080p with the high preset ran with an average frame rate of 80 frames per second with a 1% low of 67 and a 0.1% low of 55. So for all 2 people still playing this game, it did run well, and it seems like there's an 80 FPS cap in place. Overwatch 2 at 1080p with the low preset ran with an average frame rate of 60 FPS, a 1% low of 25, and a 0.1% low of 4. So I would consider this to be playable. It wasn't perfect, but it was one of the better results on this graphics card. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, everybody's favorite game, at 720p with the target 30 FPS mode enabled at the low settings. We saw an average frame rate of 37 FPS with a 1% low of 15 and a 0.1% low of 3. So, again, for all 2 people who are still playing this game, it's really not a great experience on the Intel Arc A310 Eco, but I like to throw it in the benchmark just because it's a more demanding modern game. And I bought it for $70, so I might as well use that $70 for something. Dragon's Dogma 2 at 720p with the low settings ran with an average frame rate of 17, a 1% low of 4, and a 0.1% low of 3. So, not a playable game. That is equally in part due to the CPU as it is the GPU. And last but not least, Counter-Strike 2 ran with an average frame rate of about 100. I was just eyeballing it since MSI Afterburner doesn't work, and the lowest we saw was 80, and that didn't happen very frequently. 90% of the time, the game ran at 100 FPS or above, which I would consider to be playable on this card. That was at 1080p with the low preset. So I was actually pretty disappointed with these results. This graphics card would be perfect if drivers were better. The GT 1030 is getting on in years, and that's a matter of being a low-end graphics card. I think the Eco Sparkle A310 would have been perfect if the drivers were optimized for older games because that's what you're sort of expected to play on older graphics cards. Because that's what you're sort of expected to play on lower-end graphics cards. But since the Intel drivers aren't optimized for anything below DirectX 12, and the fact that DirectX 12 games are incredibly demanding means that there's really not a big slot for this graphics card, and there probably isn't a whole lot of demand for it. But I had fun with it, and I think pairing it with the Core i5-9500 was a little bit of fun. I'll be having an extended review on the Core i5-9500 in the near future, so subscribe for that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, subscribe, do what you usually do, and as always, buy yourself something nice.